Hi, I'm Ree from mummyof4.com. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing some of my very best lunchbox tips, tricks and hacks for back to school, as well as some inspiration for things you can actually put into your children's lunchboxes for a little bit of variety. I'd like to give a massive thank you to Tesco for sponsoring this video and supporting my channel. As you will know, if you have watched my grocery hauls, I have had a Tesco grocery delivery pass for many years, so I was thrilled when they got in touch to work with me. Tesco have got some brilliant ideas on their website of exactly what you can put into your little one's lunch boxes, as well as some fantastic recipes and really great resources. So I shall link all of that below. Make sure you watch right the way through the video so that you catch all of the little recipe ideas from Tesco. Plus, right at the end, we have got a lunchbox food mini haul. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. I do lots of back to school content at the moment, but I always bring you lots of organisation, life hacks, vlogs, speed cleans, haul videos, all that kind of stuff. I would love to have you as a subscriber. For my first tip, I want you to think about lunch boxes when you meal plan and grocery shop. Now I've got a whole video explaining how I meal plan, and I normally only meal plan in more of a rigid way for the evenings, and then when my children are eating at home, I just have a variety of food and I can kind of make whatever I fancy making at the time from those kind of rotation of lunches. Now when it comes to lunch boxes, you've got to be a bit more organised because obviously you can't make it at lunchtime, you need to send it off with them in the mornings. So it can be far more important to meal plan and decide exactly what's going to be going in your children's lunch boxes before you do your weekly shop. I will link the blog post and the videos below explaining my exact system for meal planning and grocery shopping. My next tip is to invest in some dishwasher safe boxes. If you've seen my other back to school videos and hauls, you will know that I've recently invested in a lot more of these for lunch boxes, partly because my children used to have school dinners, so suddenly we're going to need a lot more of these. I would recommend having one set that is out in the lunch boxes at the time and another set that you can use for preparing for the next day. That way, if you find time during the day while your child is in school, you can prepare their lunch for the next day without having to wait for their plastic boxes to come home. Definitely choose dishwasher safe ones. A lot of them, check the instructions, are dishwasher safe on the top rack only, so make sure that you do that so you can kind of keep them nice. These little sized ones are good for fruit and things. I also have some of these boxes that I use for sandwiches and wraps and things. I use these for putting inside my children's lunch boxes, but also for things like if they're having a snack in the garden or if we're going out for a picnic. So even if your children, like mine, will possibly go back to having school dinners after all the COVID craziness has calmed down a little bit, because I don't know about your school, I mean, let me know in the comments, but our school aren't currently offering school meals at the moment, so everyone has to have packed lunches. But even if your child then goes back to having school dinners in future, investing in bits and pieces like this is great because you can use them around the kitchen or when you're going out for picnics anyway. As with anything you send to your child's school, make sure that it is labelled, just for anything you ever want to see again, really. I use these sticky labels. I shall link these below. What I'm actually covering up here is my phone number. I would highly recommend you put your phone number on your children's name labels. I've had so many things back over the years because someone has phoned me. So I once threw her shoe out of the pram and someone phoned me and I had that back. These particular labels go on hard surfaces and then they are dishwasher safe after 24 hours, but I also put them in the care labels of clothing, so they are fab for all sorts of back to school things, not just lunch boxes. My next tip is super important if you want a stress-free morning, and this is to prepare your children's lunch boxes the night before. As you will have seen in my after school routine tips, as soon as your children get in from school, you want to empty out everything from that day's lunchbox, clean it all out, and then replace it with everything that's needed for the next day. So anything that is dry or does not need refrigerating can go directly into your child's clean lunch bag, so you don't have to go hunting around in the morning. And then anything that needs refrigerating needs to be chopped up, prepared, popped in any containers, labelled as necessary, and then put into the fridge. Which brings me to my next tip, which is make sure you've got a dedicated area in your fridge to keep the children's meal. Lunch boxes, because if you've got little bits and pieces dotted all over the fridge, chances are your child will have left for school and you'll find something that you've forgotten to put in their lunchbox. Now let's look at some interesting ideas of what we can put into our children's lunchboxes. So for our first lunch recipe idea from Tesco, and this one is so easy, is a DIY simple lunch tray. All this involves is chopping up some yummy veggies and some dip. So I'm creating this as a little rainbow option for mine. I have used red peppers for the red, yellow peppers for the yellow, carrots for the orange, and cucumber for green. Who doesn't love a rainbow in their lunchbox? I have used some cheese thins as the crackers. I've got some reduced fat hummus, which you'll know my children recently discovered in one of my vlogs this summer. It was something that I was eating and they tried and now they love it. So I know that this is going to be a really popular addition to my children's lunchboxes. Now you've got a couple of options. You can either put the different bits and pieces into different boxes so that they don't kind of contaminate each other, or you can use one of these divided boxes, which are really great too, especially if you were putting different things like fruit in one side and savoury in another. So it depends what you've got available to you. The other thing it's worth doing is saving things like cartons from takeaways and things. If you have any of those, wash them out and keep those, because they can be really handy for doing things like this DIY lunch tray recipe. Now let's share some more tips and hacks before we go on to some more lunch ideas. My next tip is to trial new foods at the evenings or weekends and not just stick them straight into your children's lunch boxes without warning. Now, if you have a neurotypical child, as in a child who does not have autism, two of my children have autism, they may cope well with new foods. You know your own children. However, if you've got a fussy eater or a child on the spectrum, putting an entirely brand new lunchbox straight in there, and the first time they see it is when they open it up in school, could completely spin them out. A very fussy eater or a child on the spectrum could even be thrown by one new thing in their lunchbox they're not familiar with. So a nice way to introduce things is on the weekends or the evenings. I've talked about fussy eating a lot before, and I have got a blog post which I will link below. But one of the ways, for example, I was just talking about hummus. My children tried hummus because I was eating it, and I kind of find that this is a really good way to introduce foods. If you're eating it, you just kind of don't even offer it to them, you make it available to them, then they're like, oh, what's that, and then they like fancy a little bit and try it. Or you just coax them to try something new on the weekend. So for example, I've used the cheese thins in the DIY snack tray, and my children have not yet tried these poppy and sesame ones. So if I put these directly in their lunchbox, especially the children with autism might find it a little bit uncomfortable because they don't know what it is and they might be reluctant to try it. So instead we're going to try these out on the weekend, and if they work well, then they can have them in their lunchbox next week. My next tip is to put together a little snack station for all the little bits and pieces that go into your children's lunchboxes. So anything that is dry and is kind of lunchbox friendly, keep it all in one place. If you've seen my kitchen organization tour, you'll know that I have got baskets to organize inside of my cupboards, and one of the baskets is just quite simply for kids' snacks. So when your children are home, you know there is one place that you can go if you need to fetch them a snack. And when you're packing lunch boxes, then these are the dry items that you can grab and pop into their lunchbox the night before. My next tip is to get some of these food clips, because that way when you are using a larger item and you are decanting some into your children's lunchbox, you can clip the rest away and keep it fresh, ready for when you want to feed it to them later in the week, rather than wasting the rest of the pack. Another item that can be handy for lunch boxes are these reusable bags. Now these are really meant for grocery shopping, as in when you go grocery shopping and you pick out your fruit and veg, and you can put them into these instead of plastic bags. But they have so many other uses. You could put something like a banana in this to put into your child's lunchbox, or quite frankly in a non-lunchbox where you can use them to organise toys and puzzles. You can use them for delicates in the laundry. These things are really great. I picked these up in a recent haul and I've been really pleased with them. My next tip is to use the one to use and one as a backup system. If you've watched my grocery hauls, or any of my videos for that matter, you probably will have heard me talk about this before. And basically all it is anything that is not going to go off very quickly. I like to buy one to use and then one as a backup. And then what we do is when the one that we are currently using, whatever it may be, so a packet of something or a jar of something or a sauce of some description, whenever the one that we are using has finished, we add that to our grocery list and we open the backup item. So we never totally run out of something, because the backup one will tide us over until the next one arrives. I hope that makes sense. But basically it will stop you from running out of essential items when you are doing your lunch boxes. Now on to the next lunch idea from Tesco's. These are their Tesco Sandwich Stars recipe. So you can make your lunch times exciting with these fun turkey sandwich stars, a simple idea for a healthy lunchbox. If you use a cookie cutter to stamp out the shapes and then pack some extra veg in to go with it, it makes a really tasty packed lunch. So I'm using cheese spread and some wholemeal bread. If your children really object to wholemeal bread, you could buy the sort of 50-50 best of both type bread, or you could even do the double bread sandwiches, which are the one slice of the white bread and the one slice of the wholemeal bread, as kind of a compromise. And some children are more likely to eat this if they're not a fan of wholemeal bread. I'm using some roast turkey, and then we've got a little bit of cucumber and carrot to go alongside. Now obviously you can use different shapes. I've got lots of different cookie cutters. I will use Christmas, I've got Christmas trees and things. You can also use letters which spell out names. These can be really fun. Obviously there's a little bit more sandwich wastage if you're doing things like this, but if you've got a child that's really fussy with what they will eat, they're perhaps more likely to eat it if it's in a novelty shape, and especially if they're having a little bit of a tough time going back to school, to open their lunchbox and see fun shapes can really cheer them up. Tesco does suggest that you can use the wastage to blitz into crumbs and use in other recipes. Think about cutting your child's lunchbox food into bite-sized pieces, because they're far more likely to actually eat it. So things like the cookie cutters to make the sandwiches into fun shapes will obviously work. Even if you're not using cookie cutters, think about cutting things like sandwiches into much smaller shapes, little squares or even finger sandwiches, and they're more likely to be eaten up at lunchtime. My next tip is to scratch a fun message or little drawing into the side of a banana. If you do this with a cocktail stick, by the time your children open their lunchbox, your design will have shown up. Think about buying larger packs of things and decanting them out. This can save lots of money compared to buying lots of individually sized and packaged items, but it also means saving on things like packaging, which is better for the environment. At the end of their lunch, ask your children to put any rubbish or dirty items into another plastic box or bag that you provide for them. The reason for this is things like a yogurt pot or a spoon or just left open hummus or something can be really quite gross and disgusting. By the time you get it home, it's going to be a real pain to clean the inside of that lunchbox. If all the rubbish and spoons and things are put inside another container, it makes cleaning up at the end of the day so much easier, and it means their lunchboxes will last a lot longer without getting really gross and gunky. My next tip is to pack lunches for family members that are not going to school at the same time when you're doing your packed lunch prep. So I've got a youngest daughter that comes home for lunch, but I actually make her a lunchbox at the same time as I make the older ones their lunch boxes. I've got everything out anyway, I've made all the mess, it's absolutely no odds to make one more portion, and she feels like she's kind of joining in. It also means if we want to go somewhere like the park on the way home, then she's got her packed lunch with her and we can eat on the go. All in all, it's saving me a lot of time and hassle and giving me a lot more flexibility and options too. Now for another idea for your children's lunchboxes from Tesco. These are tuna mayo pittas. They are ready in minutes, they are super quick and easy for kids and adults too. This simple recipe has a classic tuna and sweet corn mayo filling with crunchy lettuce and can be prepared and packed up the night before. All you have to do is mix together the tuna, the sweet corn and the mayonnaise, fill it into the pitta with a little bit of the shredded lettuce, wrap it up and it's away to go. You can wrap these in foil or alternatively use some non-stick grease-proof paper or pop them into one of your boxes. My next tip is to leave fun notes in your children's lunch to cheer them up when it comes to their break. I've bought some of these sticky notes. They're just like a set of sticky labels, and I've been popping those into the children's lunch boxes, and they've really enjoyed them. It's a nice little surprise. It's also a good way of labeling up food for which day of the week that you've made it, or actually what's inside it, because sometimes you can make things, put them in boxes and not know which filling is which. So these labels double up as a good way to know which food is supposed to go in which lunchbox on which day too. Another way I like to label things in my fridge that I make up ready for school lunchboxes is with these address labels. They're super easy, they stick on really well, and they're pretty cheap to buy. My next tip is to freeze a half full water bottle on its side as an ice pack and to keep your child's water cold. By doing this, you're not going to overfill the bottle. The children can drink from it straight away because obviously the water you add into it will be drinkable pretty much straight away, and it will keep the other items in your child's lunchbox cool without having to add in a bulky ice pack. Make sure that you are sending your children in with an additional bottle of water, especially during the warmer months. I tend to put one drink for my children to have with their packed lunch and another drink that they can have throughout the day and on the way to and from school, because they're generally thirsty on the walk. Now for a little bit of a haul of some bits that I picked up from Tesco that I'm going to try out in my children's lunchboxes. I've picked up some wholemeal bread. I do normally have the sort of 50-50, half and half kind of bread, but I am going to try a slice of that and a slice of the half and half bread to wean my children. My mission is to get them fully over to wholemeal bread without complaining. The same with pittas. I know that they like these. We're going to try the wholemeal pittas as well. So what I figured I'd do in the lunchbox is make one of these and one of these, and they can have half of one of those and half of one of those just to wean them over. Equally with wraps, you will have seen me buy these white tortilla wraps before. We have got these to try the wholemeal tortilla wraps. Let me know in the comments, are your children especially fussy? Are they quite happy to eat wholemeal, or are they preferring more of the white ones? I've got some sweet corn as well as the tuna. I tried these pittas with the children on the weekend, and Bella is going to take a little bit of convincing, but Will, who used to be such a nightmare with everything he ate, absolutely loved them, and so did Dylan, my teenager. So they are going to be a firm favourite in the boys' lunch boxes, and maybe we'll work on them for the girls. We've got these lightly salted rice cakes to try. Now these would be good for a little bit of hummus, or maybe just eating on their own. They are in a bigger pack, so I will use the clips to close those. The children haven't tried these before either. Let me know, have you tried these? Are they gonna like them? And then I picked up these bars as well. So we've got apple and sultana bars and some strawberry bars. Let me know if you've tried either of those and if your children like them. Thank you so much to Tesco for sponsoring this video. I'm absolutely delighted to work with them. If you've liked this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. If you want to watch my latest video, it's just over here. And another video you may enjoy from my channel is just down here. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.